From Greg Berhalter to Mauricio Pochettino, Tack, has there ever been a greater coaching upgrade in the history of soccer than that?
It might be another U.S. soccer one, which is Vlatko to Emma Hayes. That we're fighting those.
That
Yeah.
was close. That was definitely a close one. And guys, we should stress that it is not official. U.S. Soccer has announced nothing. However, many reputable sources, and I'm going to read an article a little bit about what's happening from ESPN, because there is some stuff going on with this contract with Chelsea that we will have to talk about, but we'll get into the details. Fabrizio Romano, one of the most reliable sources on the planet for soccer news, is reporting it. His son essentially confirmed it. It looks like there's all the signs are pointing to this is all but done. That Mauricio Pochettino will be the new coach of the U.S. men's national team. And as Tack and I have reported for the last couple of weeks, they were pursuing a big name hire, right? There was a lot of people out here saying it's Patrick Vieira confirmed, right? It's Steve Cherundolo confirmed. And we tried to push back on that and said, no, listen, they're actually going for a big name hire. Now, you can go for a big name hire and not get it, but it looks like they have gotten a big name hire. And Tack and I, we were talking on the phone here. Is this it's the best realistic hire? Or was this hire even realistic, right? Are a lot of people saying nobody wants the U.S. job. Look, when you come with money and an interesting project and our player pool, which is not the best in the world, certainly, but it's also not the worst, and a World Cup at home, people will be interested in this job, but you have to be serious in how you approach them. And in the past, we were not serious, and this time we were serious. So big ups to JT Batson and Matt Crocker. If this is true, they've hired two good coaches now, Emma Hayes and then obviously Pochettino. They still have the stain of rehiring Berhalter, but this would certainly go a long way to addressing that, right? Patrick McCoon says, should we spam Bowley on Twitter? I mean, we'll see. Let's just wait and see what happens first. But again, guys, all the signs are very, very, very good. I'm going to talk about some of the pros and cons of this hire. Tack's going to weigh in with some stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about his successes and what we can expect, sort of, although a lot remains to be seen. But more than anything, this is sort of a celebration, news-breaking hire. It's been a month since we fired Berhalter, more than a month, right? Fired Berhalter about the 10th or 11th.
It's like 30, 35, 36 days, yeah. It's been a while. Pete, before you put the article, I just want to say one thing, just to make it clear from what we're saying. No coaching hire guarantees success with the national team. No, you could get Klopp, and it wouldn't guarantee success. Well, our overall point is the better the hire, the higher the odds of you being successful. And based off this hire, I would say the odds of being successful are fairly high. I think they aimed very high, and they got a very good coach. Some people are going to try to talk about how his Chelsea time was a failure, and he doesn't have enough trophies and all that. I talked about this in my stream, and I think we should probably address this at some point here as well. It's not quite that. There's always context. It always matters. This is a really good coach that's worked with really good players and has done some great work in multiple teams. So don't let anyone try to portray like he's a failure. He's not that good. Some people put him as a serial loser. It's like, no, this guy's not.
He literally won Ligue 1 with PSG. I know you could say, oh, sure, PSG should, but to say he has no trophies is completely not true.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to the whole trophies thing is a bit disingenuous to put it that way, because I talked about this with you. How long has Pep Guardiola been with Manchester City? 5 seasons? 6? More. 7? Whatever. Let's say 6 seasons. Pep winning 1 Champions League in 6 seasons, is that easier or tougher than making it to a Champions League final with Tottenham? Which is what he did. So again, trophies matter. Of course, we want trophies, but he made it to a Champions League final with Tottenham. That's a massive account. He had a Premier League season with 86 points. You can win a trophy with 86 points. It's just that I think Chelsea that season was better, but 86 points. I'm sorry. No, best campaign with Southampton, has done tremendous work multiple times. But let's not fall into that. He knows what he's doing. It could flop. It could, just to make that clear. But I think the Federation, and I'm no one to hype the Federation, but I think they did a good job with who they hired.
Yeah. So Johnny Soccer says, Colin Cowherd just cooked USMNT fans. Again? Why is he cooking us now? Is he mad that we're celebrating this hire? What did he say, Johnny? If he was cooking us again, I'm gonna put him on chill watch. Okay, I'm gonna put him on chill watch. I don't know why he'd be cooking us now, or literally his thing was like what? He was mad at fans for being anti-Berhalter, and now he's mad that we're celebrating a good hire. The fuck is his problem?
I'm looking. I'm trying to see what he said.
Did he cook him on Twitter, or did he cook him on his show that 9 people watch?
Yeah, if it's show, I'm not gonna go for it. But I'm trying to find on Twitter. No, he didn't put anything on Twitter.
Nothing on Twitter, so it must have been on his show. Guys, he's one of the dumbest motherfuckers I've seen when it comes to soccer. Like, I'm sorry. Colin Cowherd was there getting mad at fans for wanting Berhalter out after a miserable Copa America failure. He said fans will blame you for losses and draws. I mean, yeah, the coach is very much responsible for results. Does he not understand professional sports as somebody who literally covers professional sports for a living? Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyways, he's like that old uncle that's like pending irrelevance, and so he's like getting mad at young people a lot. Winelkai, I wonder if our Tree fans are jealous that we got Poch. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. I saw somebody post on Twitter today, compared to the Mexico Federation, we actually went out and got a much better coach and a much better hire, So, yeah.
Some of them are trying to downplay it, though.
Well, naturally, that's just I would expect the same, right? If Mexico got Jurgen Klopp, I'd be like, well, I don't know if it's a great hire. I mean, they could have gotten.
You would probably say we're screwed.
But yeah, some of that is obviously just, some of that is just jealousy. Let's have a quick word from our sponsor, Underdog.
Fantasy Sports is back with a new and improved pick'em game across all sports that makes it easy to play fantasy sports with just a few clicks. Each sport allows you to build a parlay that includes between 2 and 5 predictions about the outcomes of player projections. As you would expect, the more picks you include, the greater the potential payout. Don't go crazy with it and play responsibly, but adding a few bucks here and there to a game gives it a little more excitement and stakes. Use my promo code 11YANKS or click the link in the description to start playing, and Underdog will match whatever you put in your account up to $100. Enjoy!
All right, so let's read this article here on ESPN, guys, by Mark Ogden. So he's a senior writer. He covers a lot of Manchester United, but he is now covering, and there's some interesting information here about this potential hire, okay? So just going to read it. Mauricio Pochettino has agreed to become the new United States coach with the responsibility of leading the team into the 2026 World Cup, sources told ESPN on Thursday. Pochettino, 52, has been out of work since leaving Chelsea by mutual consent earlier this summer after just one season in charge at Stamford Bridge. A source told ESPN that the former Tottenham and PSG coach agreed to succeed Greg Berhalter as USMNT head coach following lengthy discussions with Matt Crocker, the USSF technical director. No final agreement has been signed between the two parties, the source added, and the USSF board of directors is yet to sign off on any deal. Hey, U.S. Soccer Board, sign off on this deal or we are going to come for you, okay? There's a lot of weirdos on that board. I'll tell you that right now. And the best
come for you in a non-violent way, just to make that clear. We're not inciting violence here.
No, but we are inciting a serious hatred and dislike for the board.
Cyberbullying.
Crocker, who previously worked with Premier League team Southampton and the English FA, has been charged with recruiting a world-class coach to ensure the USMNT goes into the 2026 World Cup. The U.S. are joint hosts with Canada and Mexico as a competitive nation capable of running into the latter stages of the competition. Efforts to recruit Jurgen Klopp following his summer exit from Liverpool failed to get off the ground, but Pochettino agreeing to take on the role is a major coup for the USSF. A source told ESPN, now this is important, guys, told ESPN that Pochettino's situation with Chelsea remains unresolved. Hey, fucking Bowley, let the man go. He is owed money by the Premier League club, and until a resolution is found, he cannot sign a contract to take over the USMNT. Pochettino is expected to be installed in time to take charge of the USMNT game against Canada in Kansas City on September 7th. So that is what I wonder about, okay? Because previously reported by Paul Tenorio, shill in chief, that actually Mikey Varas was supposed to take that September camp. So I'm not sure if that's true. I'm not, Mark Ogden doesn't say things lightly. He could also be assuming that he's going to be in charge. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. Hopefully, whatever happens is they get his club situation resolved with Chelsea. Pochettino would be able to keep a European base and not move to the U.S. full-time, a source told ESPN, as he could watch the bulk of the national team players in major European leagues. Exactly. All of our players play abroad. Sources told ESPN that Pochettino had been under consideration as a possible candidate to replace Gareth Southgate as England manager. So, look, I would say very likely this happens. Whatever he needs to sort out with Chelsea, he needs to sort it out. And obviously, U.S. Soccer needs to get this done because right now, everybody's reporting it. So if they don't get it done, they're going to look very, very bad. What are your thoughts, Tack?
Yeah, I think it'll happen. Many people have reported it. Probably Poch already said yes to to Matt Crocker, and Crocker probably already told him it's your job, whatever numbers you want in terms of money. They reached an agreement, and again, what if the budget is there, which I'm assuming they had the budget, Matt Crocker or JT Batts, like Cindy Parlow-Cone, what excuse does the board have to reject Pochettino?
No.
What's the excuse? There's no excuse. This is a great hire, and it'll get done. He has to sort out some contract issues with Chelsea. That's pretty normal once you terminate your contract, especially the way his was like issues with – it wasn't like he was fired. It was issues with upper management. But based off the people that reported, everyone that's been saying it, I think it's a done deal.
Yeah, it does seem to be that way. The question is, we don't know yet who's going to take that September camp. Is it going to be Mikey Varas?
Mikey Varas. I mean, Paul Tenorio, the Federation feeds him information. It's probably Mikey Varas.
Probably going to be Mikey. But either way, Pochettino's already going to be working behind the scenes, so it's going to be very interesting to see what that September camp looks like. And, like Tack said, there's a lot of reasons to be excited. It doesn't guarantee anything. We still have to hold this team accountable, the players especially. We need to hold Poch accountable, but we need to start off with patience, right? When a new coach comes in, however you feel about them, right? Whether you think it's a good hire, a bad hire, you have to give them some time, right? I think at least until the Gold Cup in the summer to build how he wants this team to play. And obviously we'll look for signs of progress and see how we go. And obviously predicting how he's going to play, we can talk a little bit about that too. But overall, I think there is a lot of reasons to be excited. So Michael says here, did you see he can't sign until Chelsea contract issue is resolved? Yeah, so he needs to sort that out. We don't know exactly what the details of that are, but my guess would be we get an announcement next week sometime because it's already, Thursday? So, yeah, we'll see.
Probably next week.
The only one who isn't celebrating this hire is that dude who thinks coaching doesn't matter. Oh, he's talking about Joe Lowry. Oh, geez. Watch. I'm going to be very curious to see if the media is going to give the same amount of shilling to Pochettino as they gave to Greg Berhalter, or if they're going to treat him differently because he's a foreigner. Because they were very different with Jurgen Klinsmann than they were with any American coach. They were much more critical of the foreign coaches than they ever were of the American coaches. So let's see. You're on Fraud Watch, media. Saul says the only one who isn't... Oh, we already read that. And then Yosef says... Love Adam's take. We sold our Dodge Caravan and bought a Ferrari. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not even close. It's not even comparable between Pochettino and Berhalter, right? In terms of aura, in terms of success. Let's look a little bit at some of his career highlights here, okay? So his first ever job was he took Espanyol, and they were about to get relegated. And he saved them from relegation. That was his first ever coaching job after he retired, right? He was very young. After that, he got Southampton. He took them to their best ever finish in the Premier League, which was 8th place. And they played a very dynamic, very exciting brand of football that you hadn't seen that much in the Premier League. So a lot of people are going to focus on his time at Chelsea and PSG and even obviously a lot to Tottenham. But I want to highlight that actually what you want to do with a coach like this is look how he did with underdogs, right? How did he perform with teams? Did he get teams that weren't top teams to perform greater than the sum of their parts? And both at Espanyol and at Southampton and even at Tottenham, he certainly did. Okay. So because Tottenham's a quote unquote big team, but they're not a big team, right? They struggle to make the top 4 at times in the Premier League. They haven't won a trophy in God knows how long. He comes into Tottenham, and yeah, sure, he didn't win any trophies, but he took them to a Champions League final and second in the Premier League. Tottenham to the Champions League final and second in the Premier League. And then, yeah, of course, the subsequent season, there was issues with, what's his name? The Tottenham chairman. He's this weird bald dude. Do you know his name offhand?
I don't know his name, but yeah, he did have some poor results But just one thing with that, coaches have that all the time. You stay long enough for a club, unless you're like Klopp or Pep, they all have that. Greatest coaches.
Any coach we could possibly hire would have some failures. Levy, thank you. Yeah, Daniel Levy wouldn't really approve new hires because he was being a cheap ass, and that ruined a lot of things. Okay. So I'm not saying when he got fired from Tottenham, like none of it was his fault, but obviously, you look for context. That's what's really important. Now, then he took the PSG job, which I'm going to just say it right now. I think that's actually the hardest job in soccer right now. And the reason I say that, or especially when he was there, because the pressure is massive. Winning Ligue 1 is expected, so that's not enough. They've never won the Champions League, and they're always trying to be like, we need to win the Champions League. They have crazy amount of interference from Qatar, and they meddle a lot in the affairs of the club that they should not, basically, weirdo owners. And on top of that, he was, had Messi and Neymar and a rising Mbappe, right? There was a lot of personalities for him to deal with, and it maybe wasn't his best ever coaching stint, but I do think that's literally the hardest job in soccer right now. And I don't think PSG will ever win the Champions League, not with these Qatari owners.
Did any coach do much more?
I mean, Tuchel took them to a Champions League final.
It was lockdown season too. It was a bit of a different season.
Right. But generally speaking, to be fair, he did lose in his first season. He did lose Ligue 1 to, who was it? Lille?
Lille, yeah. Tim Weah won it, yeah.
So, certainly that would be a bad mark against him. But overall, his good points and his successes far outweigh his negatives. And let's talk about Chelsea. He took a Chelsea team that finished, 11th the season before? Or 10th?
Didn't he take over them and they were in 12th? Did he take over from the beginning of the season? I thought he was hired during it.
Let me see if I remember this correctly.
I can check for you. I don't remember when he took over, but they were like 11th or 12th, and he got them to 6th. He got those 5 big wins at the end of the season, finished in 6th.
Yeah.
Which was pretty good.
He took them to 6th, which honestly, I'm going to just say it now. I'll be surprised if, Chelsea finish in the top 6 with that player pool. Their transfer strategy has been wild. They bought a bunch of new players, and it was his job to try to build cohesion and get them playing to a team. And to be honest, a lot of those players are not that good. They're really not that good. So I think getting 6th with that Chelsea team was a success, and Chelsea fans are going to get mad. I think that was a success. I would not be surprised to see Chelsea in mid-table again this season. I would not be surprised. Okay? Colin Reese in his mom's basement having a breakdown right now on X. He hates the hire. This can only be a sign of success to come.
He was complaining about Pochettino. Yeah, I saw that.
Are you serious? He was complaining
Yes,
about
I saw
hire?
that. Adam, I'll read it for you. Okay, keep going. I'm going to find the tweet and I'll read it for you.
Okay. Let's talk about some of his pros as a coach. He has a great track record at high levels of the game. This guy has coached in the Premier League. He's coached in Ligue 1. He's coached in the Champions League. He's coached in La Liga. He has coached across multiple, and I mean multiple high-level leagues and seasons. The guy's been a coach for more than 10 years now, almost 15, and he has a diverse set of experiences. He is also a fierce, demanding coach. He's got a fierce, demanding approach to coaching that would be good for this group of entitled players. Make no mistake, when Mauricio Pochettino walks into that dressing room for the first time, he is bigger than every single player there, including Christian Pulisic. There's going to be no Tyler Adams saying, "You have to play me, man. I don't have my fuck you quota for this year." And Pochettino will be, I don't want to play him, but okay, he wants to play, I have to play. No, there's going to be none of that, right? He's going to set his stamp on this team, and he's going to do what he wants to do, whether we agree or not, whether we like it or not. There's going to be no question about the players running shit. No one's going to sit there thinking Pulisic is running shit or Adams is running shit. I don't think Weston McKennie is going to be allowed to play if he's in competition with Pochettino on the weight scale. Like, I don't think that's going to be allowed to happen. And that's the kind of coach he is. He's going to have standards.
Pete, do you want to know what Colin said?
What do you say?
So Adam posted a screenshot on Twitter. Colin said the following. He said, everyone knows that Pochettino is a choker and a loser who coaches high-pressing soccer. Nobody likes him who knows about soccer. He's just someone that Prem faces rave about. That's what he said.
Wow, Colin. Maybe increase your pill dosage. I don't know what to tell you, man. That's a wild take, but of course that's sort of your MO.
I can understand anyone being a little bit skeptical and bringing up some points like, hey, he has no national team coaching experience. Maybe this won't go well. Maybe his style might not fit. Maybe he'll try to play out. Like, there's reasons that you could argue that's like, hey, maybe this might not go as we expect. But being pessimistic about it is just complete nonsense.
No, that is nonsense. And we'll talk about some of the cons. But one of the other pros is that he is not a part of the USSF Old Boys Club or this crony clusterfuck. He has no relatives in U.S. soccer. He has nobody, and nobody at U.S. soccer is bigger than Poch, right? Even Matt Crocker, if he's like, hey, Pochettino, Don Garber wants us to try to get some MLS players in. Can you think we can do that?
It's just one thing. It's not Colin Coher that we're talking about, okay?
No, we're talking about Colin Reese, guys.
Yeah.
Colin
just
Reese
so people don't get that
Colin.
mistaken. We don't know what Colin Coher actually said.
But it would not surprise me if it was nonsense also.
But probably not like that.
Yeah, look, that's really important. We do not want anybody from the and credit to JT Batson and Matt Crocker if they get this one through, because this is a guy who is not going to take any shit from U.S. soccer, and he's going to do what he wants to do. And to be honest, I don't think he would take this job if U.S. soccer didn't hand him broad freedom to do what he wanted to do. It's Pochettino. You won't hire Pochettino and then try to micromanage him. You hire Pochettino and then you go, whatever you need to do, we back you, right? Just make this team a success. And that's his job. Another pro that I didn't put here, Tack, and maybe if you have any more, you can talk about them, was that he speaks Spanish. And in terms of, recruiting dual nats, I think that goes a long way, right? Especially Mexican-American dual nats. Also, there is a very big difference with Berhalter approaching you and being like, hey, you want to come play for U.S. soccer? We're going to change the way that Americans view soccer. But if Pochettino comes to you and says, I like you, I want you to be part of this team, that is very different power.
Well, not just that too, because think about it. Pochettino could leave the U.S. in 2020 after the World Cup or 2030. Who knows? But after he leaves the U.S. job, he could very well be coaching a Champions League team. Yeah. And if you were recruited by him and he likes you and all that, that can open doors for you in the future. This is a coach that can open doors in Europe for you in the future. You can get referrals to other coaches by Pochettino. It's different. Like Berhalter might open like an MLS door for you, and that's about it.
Yeah. The other thing that I think this will do, it legitimizes the program to casuals. Okay. Right now, there are lots of soccer fans in America. Lots of them. The vast majority of them definitely don't care about MLS, and to a lesser degree also don't care about the U.S. men's national team. A lot of soccer fans are Mexico fans. A lot of fans are Premier League watching fans who probably support a team in their ancestry because the U.S. men's national team is shit. So I can see a guy who's of Italian descent in New Jersey, eating his gabagool, going, I support Italy. Well, he's from Jersey, so it's more like, support Italy. I don't watch the U.S., man. They suck. It's terrible, absolute nonsense. What this does is it legitimizes the program. People go, wait, they Pochettino's coaching the U.S.? Wait, are we good? And they will at least start maybe paying attention more and going, hey, we got a really good coach. How good could we be, right? So I think this legitimizes the program to casuals. I don't know if you agree, Tack.
No, it does. I mean, it makes it look like a serious national team, which I hope we will become that. I think the most important thing from Pochettino, outside of like We could talk about tactics and how he'll approach the team, how he's a better soccer mind, a better coaching staff, but the change in culture in general, not
Yeah.
just from the senior team, right? The culture within the federation, the culture within the youth teams, how you demand all of that change. Because we talked about this before. With all his flaws, that was one thing that Klinsmann did right. He was trying to change that American soccer culture that is very soft,
Very
very,
soft. Yeah.
very like trying to play politics here and there, very corporate, where it's like not really what you want, and it's not what the average diehard soccer fan wants. You won't have that as much with Pochettino. It'll end also there's a lot of nepotism in U.S. soccer. This is definitely not a nepotism hire. We know that for sure. And he's not going to accept nepotism. Like, for example, Claudio Reyna is not going to come up to him and complain about Gio not playing. That's not happening. That's
No.
not. And he might actually go, like, I don't know what he would do, but probably he would just go to the press and just say, you know what, Claudio was bothering me about playing his son. Just come out and rat out on the guy rather than rat out on the player for some behavior issue. I think culture change is a big thing that very often is overseen. We don't really talk about it because we're just like, oh, what are the tactics? What's the approach? What's the player selection? There's much more than tactics and player selection when it comes to coaching. That's why in Europe they even call them a manager. And I think that's something that we might see. The problem is you need Pochettino to stay for long enough to see the real effects of that. It's not something that's done in a year.
No, we have to see, but definitely this change in culture will be important. That's a really big one. Let's talk about some cons, okay? Because I don't know why it says Hervé Renard. I think, because it's an old slide that I changed, but I forgot to change that one. That is not Hervé Renard, but this is Pete's channel, so we have to have at least one mistake per stream. He did have some failures with PSG and toward the end of Tottenham. We already discussed this, right? And even toward the end at Espanyol, it didn't go well. So it's not like this guy has been a smashing success wherever he has been with no failure. To be honest, if that was the case, he probably wouldn't be choosing the U.S. right now. Okay. He also has no international experience. We do understand that there is a massive difference between club soccer and international soccer. So we've never seen him be successful with he's played at the national team level for Argentina. I think he has 20 caps for Argentina, and he played for their youth teams. But coaching, no, he's never coached at an international level. So how he adapts is something that remains to be seen. I will say that generally smart coaches understand and they adapt, right? So, and hopefully he'll be smart enough to figure that out, right? But it is certainly a con. The other one would be some questions about his man management at PSG.
Pete, I was going to say that one of no international experience, maybe we should word it differently. I don't think it's a con. I would say it more, it's a fair concern for anyone to have. Like if any fan or anyone's like, well, he doesn't have that. It's a fair concern.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think he'll adapt. I think he'll be fine.
I think so too. I mean, I think he can't be crazy about his system for sure, like Berhalter was. But even if he is, his system is probably a lot better than Berhalter's ever was. There were certainly some questions about, his man management at PSG, and particularly his handling of guys like Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe. I will say that is the most toxic club on the planet right now. Maybe Chelsea. To be honest, this guy has experience with toxic clubs, right? But that's a very tough club, and those are very big world stars, right? With a lot of ego, particularly Neymar and Mbappe, with a lot of like entitlement. There's a lot of weird stuff behind the scenes that goes on at PSG. The owners are, very weird people. So I would not like coaching Pulisic, Reina, and Balogun is not like coaching those guys. Those guys were arguably bigger than Pochettino. Messi, Mbappe, and
they all are for sure.
We're all bigger than Pochettino, right? So it's easy to be like, I don't want to listen to this guy when you're bigger than him. Nobody in the U.S. men's national team, including Christian Pulisic, is as big as Pochettino. Forget bigger. So when he walks into that dressing room, there will be no question about who's in charge, right?
Yeah, I guess and again, anyone that's saying like, why are we talking about cons? It's not really cons. It's more like concerns that were not negative. It's like concerns,
fair, right? Like I want to present that like, look, this is mostly very positive. It doesn't mean there's no question marks or concerns about this hire. But I want to be very clear. Overall, the hire is a smashing success if we get him.
I said it's an A+ to me. This one's an A+ to hire. And talk about PSG. We saw Unai Emery fail at PSG, a coach that's been very successful outside of PSG, extremely successful. Who else?
Now has Aston Villa in fourth.
Yes,
right?
and then well, he won the Europa League with Villarreal against Manchester United in the final. Thomas Tuchel complained about how toxic it was at PSG. He complained about it, Thomas Tuchel. So again, I don't hold him too accountable for that. Obviously, it's not a great word. But let's talk about Chelsea here for a second. He came over to Chelsea, essentially to fix their offense. There's a lot of complaints about the team not scoring. He fixed that. Chelsea started to score a lot more with him. They finished in 6th place in the Prem. They improved. My only concern this season with Chelsea was mainly their defensive structure. They did leak too many goals at times, in my opinion. I do think that in the past he's had good defenses, Pochettino, so I would assume he can fix that, and he will, maybe if he was given a bit more time. But that was the only concern I would have with that, because the U.S. is going to be less ball dominant against good teams, and we need to have a very solid defensive structure. We don't have the best defenders in the world. So that's something he does need to prioritize. We need a very strong, well-organized defense. And I understand he knows how to get the offense going. He understands it's not just about crossing. He understands how it works, but you need to get that defense strong. If you want to be, every underdog story starts with a very strong defense.
Yeah. So those are, I guess, the question marks. And we'll talk a little bit about his time at Chelsea some more. But look, Christian Velasquez with a very good point. What do you think about Poch's intense training sessions? He wants players to be fit, and McKennie doesn't have a good track record of being fit. I'll be honest with you. I think if Weston McKennie sees Pochettino coming in, he'll get fit real quick. Because I think you're right. I don't think that Pochettino is going to have anybody who's not fit on the team. And that might even include Gio Reyna. If Gio Reyna is not playing for Dortmund, he probably loses his spot on the team. And you know what? I would have no problem with it. I'm going to give Pochettino, and probably Tack will too, a fairly large leash to begin with. Okay? Because of his track record of success, I might not agree with everything he does right away, but I'll be like, listen, this guy is a proven success. I'm going to let him do what he wants, and we'll see how it turns out. Right? So we don't know what's going to happen yet. Let's wait and see. But I think certainly it behooves all of us to look at it and go, let's just give him some patience for the first year, especially. Give him some time.
Yeah, he's not going to be safe of criticism, but no, we're going to be much more patient with him, at least for the first 12 months, see a few competitive games. Let him get to know the player pool a little bit. Let's be honest. He doesn't know our player pool that well. He's going to study them, learn more, the coaching staff. But I would hope we start to see some really good performances when it comes to maybe Nations League next year, when we play the semifinals, the Gold Cup next summer. That's when we're going to start, okay, Poch, let's start to get this going. We're getting close to the World Cup. But no, we do have to be patient. Again, there was a lot of patience with Berhalter in 2019, which was a terrible year. And there was patience with him. And Berhalter was a hire off like nepotism, which again, you're going to be more critical of that.
And no record of success.
No.
Right? Just failure everywhere he went. My turkey sub, have to wonder how many MLS players we will see now. Not sure he is too familiar with the league. I guess we'll see. But I can't see him calling in more than 1 or 2 MLS players. He's also not in the U.S., it sounds like. From that ESPN article, it sounds like he's in Europe. So he's going to be watching. And guys, we have more than enough players in Europe to cover it up for the roster. I don't think there's any position. Maybe you could argue that third goal. But even then, you could call Turner, Horvath, Gaga. Maybe there's one MLS goalkeeper in there, whether it's Schulte or whether it's Steffen. I can see only those two. Maybe a center back, but now Mark McKenzie is moving to Toulouse. If he does well there, that's very good. Ream, he may still call in Ream at first.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a good thing if he focuses on that, focuses in Europe mainly, because that will send the message to Americans in MLS, even young Americans, that you want to play for the national team one day, you got to go push yourself in the best leagues in the world, rather than the message Berhalter was sending to the players that, hey, stay in MLS and play well, and I'll give you a shot. We're not saying MLS players should be banished from the national team. No way. There's prospects coming up that could earn a call-up. And honestly, if you are I mean, if you're an American and you're the best player in MLS, hey, maybe you get a shot. Even though I think that if you're the best player in MLS, you probably should go to a better league if you're the best player. But I'm just saying you can still bring MLS players. It's not like cut MLS players, they can't be here. But at the same time, the message he's going to send is you want to get called in, go prove yourself at the highest level, and don't stay comfy in MLS, dropping 15 goals a season, where that might not translate even to an EFL championship, the second division of England.
Yeah, exactly. But we have almost 30 players in the top 6 leagues in Europe right now, guys. So there's really no reason to, and if you include the championship, it's well beyond 30. So there's really no reason to call up MLS players for any other reason than maybe as cover in a certain position where we're thin. And I don't think he's staying in Europe. I don't think he's even going to watch MLS that much. Maybe he will. Maybe he will a little bit to look for prospects. Eldon Hasich says Cogliosho is an Italian-American guy from North Carolina about to bond with Poch over barbecue. I mean, getting Cogliosho would be a big one.
Yeah, I think, and again, we talked about this meeting before. Pochettino sits down to talk to you there in England, or you have Berhalter sitting down to talk to you. There's a big difference.
Yeah, very big difference, right? Cogliosho, let's hope Pochettino. If you can, even Diego Cochin, right? Mm-hmm. Pochettino now talks to Diego Cochin. That's a very different world than Greg Berhalter. I bet the media will be way more critical of his results than they were with Triple G. Probably. I can just imagine the ridiculous takes from Conrad and McBride. Yeah, I stopped watching that show because there was a lot of ridiculous takes. But yeah, I would not be surprised, Jesse. Jeff, Spicy Jeff, is alive and well. Pete, I wanted her because he's sexier than it's Poch, not Punch. I bought a poster of her. Well, I'm glad you're spending money to help the economy there, Jeff.
It's interesting, but Jeff, listen, to each their own, but usually we shouldn't really go based off the U.S. men's national team of who's sexier.
That would not be a good hire. So more of the story is...
Imagine we're like, we signed Tom Cruise.
Well, I don't even think he's that sexy anymore, but...
No, I'm making a joke like, okay, 20 years ago. It's like, we signed Tom Cruise.
Brad Pitt to coach the national team. It's in his contract that he's got to be topless on the sideline the entire time.
To intimidate the opponent.
And then a lot of Brett Oppenheim's fans just become U.S. soccer fans, all the girls. Carlo de los Rios, Medal of Freedom to Tim Weah. Yes, look, it was a terrible thing that Tim Weah did, but if this is the outcome, then we will see. It's was it worth it? Was it? That'll be the last question after I read this one.
Yes, it was worth it. Yes,
100%.
It might go bad, but it was worth the risk of having Pochettino instead of Berhalter in 2026.
Right. Ghost Card says, "What's up, Yanks and Tack? Came in stream late. Overall, very excited for USA. Are we finally going to beat a top team in the world? Future lineups video." These are questions that will be answered. We are going to keep talking. This is just initial thoughts. I'm going to talk about 5-6 things that he needs to do immediately upon becoming coach. Tack's going to have a video out later this week as well. And I think, will we beat a big team? For sure. I think we will. We don't know. But if you give him 2-3 years, and obviously some games against big teams, you should get at least one major signature win for sure. And if he doesn't, we'll criticize him. But guys, I have been, it's been miserable following the U.S. men's national team over the last few years. Greg Berhalter killed a lot of excitement in this team, and now it feels like it's okay to be excited again. And it's okay to be optimistic and hopeful. And it doesn't mean it's going to go well right away. It doesn't mean it's going to be all sunshine and roses from here on out. But certainly you look at a hire like this and we go, how can you not be excited about that? So yeah, if it took performing like shit this summer in Copa America to finally get rid of Greg Berhalter and hire Pochettino, then it was worth it. It was worth it. Because guess what? Let's say we squeak out of our group. We would have lost to Colombia in the quarterfinals, right? There would have been no question about that. And then what? That might have been enough for them to justify.
Probably a bad loss, by the way. Probably like a good 3-0 loss.
Right. And then that would have been enough for them to justify keeping Greg. I'm not sure if they would have, but they might have. So now we'd still be sitting here going Greg Berhalter versus Jesse Marsh, and it's like, no. No, then it will have been worth it, guys. Somebody asked me to do a Berhalter impression reacting to the Poch hire. Let's see. Yeah, look, for us, for U.S. soccer, I think, going and getting a guy who's had a lot of success at a high level, like Champions League experience, sort of like that Dutch guy, that we don't have anybody with Champions League experience. And, that's great for U.S. soccer. I think it's going to be important for him to understand, PowerPoint. How are his PowerPoint skills? That's huge. What about activities with the boys? Does he take them to the zoo? Does he take them to places like Gettysburg? Can he talk about their wives and children? That's really important to Tyler, one of the best players in the world. Can he talk about their kids? If he doesn't talk about their kids, how can you win soccer games? That's huge. So there's a lot to be excited about for sure. And I think this team, he also needs to have a mantra. Like whose mind is he trying to change? Even if it's a capybara in Peru, you have to be trying to change somebody's minds. Otherwise, what are you doing? Right. And, I think he's a good guy and I'm looking forward to seeing this team play under him. But I have questions about, priorities and what really matters to Pochettino, So that's essentially what I think Berhalter would say. But Berhalter is gone, guys. He is gone. And obviously we will wait and see if this gets confirmed by U.S. Soccer. If it doesn't, what do we do, Tack? Start from scratch?
Let's not think about that. We're going to look, even if it's poor for the next 12 months, we're going to go with him till the World Cup. So,
yeah.
So again, I don't want to think about it not working out because I am very optimistic about this. And I haven't been optimistic about the U.S. men's national team in quite some time. And I kind of want to enjoy some positivity, optimism, because if this is not going to make us optimistic, what's going to make us optimistic? Well, winning would definitely be the best remedy to negativity, but we just had a really good hire. Let's be positive about it. Let's believe and give this time. Give this guy 12 months. Let's see what he does. We got a good, competent coach. I am very optimistic about this.
Yeah, for sure. Last few super chats, and then we'll close this. We now have Poch and Emma. Again, so it's not confirmed, but looks likely. Pochettino and Emma were both Chelsea coaches for the men and women's team last season. So, well, season before last. No. Yeah, last season. For Emma was the season before last. Yeah, great. Right? Good coaches. And, we've been skeptical of JT and Crocker, and maybe we still should be. But if they pull this off, that's two good hires in a row. Emma Hayes and Mauricio Pochettino, two good hires. And it sort of covers for their insane rehiring of Greg Berhalter, right? Just want to say we've been fighting against the Berhalter regime for a while. Today, and hopefully a country falling in love with soccer in 2026 will make it all worthwhile. Let's hope so. But yes, keep up, the good fight. It's not just been us. It's been you guys. We don't know if they were to fired Berhalter if the backlash wasn't as bad as it was, right? And we don't even know if they would have gone for a top coach if the backlash wasn't as bad as it was, right? Because they have to win back fans now, right? And so that could have contributed to it. Rocco222, hi, Pete and Tack. Great day. Yes, indeed it is. Guys, smash that like button before you leave. This is just the beginning. We'll talk about this hire. There will be lots more to talk about, press conferences to cover, maybe a little bit about his coaching style that we'll talk about, what to maybe expect, which we don't know because he's been pretty flexible overall in his time as a coach. So we'll see. But any last words, Tack?
No, I think just everyone should be optimistic right now about this. And I guess we're about to find out what these players are made of.
Yeah. What these
because
players
again,
are made of.
When it was Berhalter, we were putting a lot of the blame on Berhalter, rightfully so. But now they have a very good coach that has gotten actually some very good young talent to perform even above their level. Like Dele Alli, for example, looked really good. Dele Alli looked really good.
Yeah.
And many other players, right? He got the best out of many players. Cole Palmer, he got the best out of Cole Palmer. So it's time for the players to perform too. That's the thing. We can't make excuses for our players forever. And I think they're very talented, and I think they can do very well. But now they have to do very well. There's that too.
Yeah. Tax First, Americans Abroad is going to come out on Monday as the season kicks off. So make sure you guys watch that. If you're new to U.S. Soccer, welcome. It's a very bright time. Smash subscribe. We cover this team in depth week in and week out, and we'll be here at least until 2026. So welcome. If you're new to American soccer, or if you're new to the U.S. men's national team and you like Poch is here and you want to know more, smash subscribe here and also on Tactical Manager TV. This is where you will get all the best coverage for U.S. men's national team and American soccer in general. All right, guys, smash the like button before you go. Have a great day. Have a great week. Have a great weekend coming up, and we'll see y'all soon.